Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. Well, we have now passed the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump makes one of the biggest comebacks in history, becomes the second president to be elected to a second non-sequential four-year term as president of the United States. The first one was Grover Cleveland, who did that back in the 1890s. Couple of things that struck me about this election. And number one, I thought Chris Christie had a great observation. Chris Christie, of course, ran for president twice, failed twice. He ran in 2024 against Donald Trump and was the only Republican to take Donald Trump on. And his campaign failed, obviously. But Chris Christie was a consultant for ABC, as he'd done for quite a while. Former governor of New Jersey. I've had some interactions with him. I found him to be a very engaging person. But he said, and he made the observation, that Joe Biden said in 2020 he was going to be a transitional president. He was only going to serve one term because of his age, and he felt he needed to do that. Well, then all of a sudden, Joe Biden decided, yeah, I'm going to run for a second term. And so they trot him out there and do it, hoping they can cover up the fact that Joe Biden is no longer able to run as president. And that first debate in June was such a travesty. The Democrats had to do something. There was no way they were going to win with Joe Biden. So instead, they decide to crown the vice president as the nominee. Well, the problem is they circumvent the entire political system. She was appointed. That's strike number one against Vice President Harris. But that was a problem for the Democrats because then you have to run on your record. And the problem I had with Vice President Harris is every time I saw a commercial talking about, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, oh, we did this, we're going to do that. And I sat there and go, well, why weren't you doing this over the last 4 years or the last 3.5 years? Because you were vice president. And that was part of the problem. Essentially, she was running as an incumbent. And I spoke about this to some friends. You know, Joe Biden didn't run in 2016. And one of the reasons I don't think he ran is because he would have to run based on his record the preceding 8 years with Obama. And let's face it, at the time, it was not that good. Now, Barack Obama is a distinguished American statesman, and I think he carries himself very, very well. And while I was not in love with him as president, and I wasn't in love with his presidency, I still say, you know, he has grown in stature over the past few years. Joe Biden made the point of not running in 2016. And when he ran in 2020, he was 4 years separated from, you know, his tenure as vice president, which kind of helped him, I think, to a certain extent. But here's the other part of the problem. The vice president and her running mate, who should never have been picked. I mean, automatically, right off the bat, they were saying she should have gone with Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. And I'm not going to argue that point because Walz was not a good choice. But again, you know, hindsight's always 20/20 after an election. The problem with the Democrats is they had to run on their record, and their record, I mean, obviously, runaway inflation. And for them being the party of the middle class, the low to middle class, they lost them because of the inflation and prices being higher. Oh, yeah, well, we were able to knock medical costs down for seniors. Well, that's not the middle class. And the other thing that I think hurt them was the border issue. So the bottom line is, what do they say? And the Democrats turn to, as my buddy Dolph would say, orange man bad. And that's all they talked about. And I had to chuckle because the day after the election, I received an email from the Georgia State Senate Democrats, and they just went, orange man is bad. And all about what Donald Trump's going to do. He hasn't even taken office, but yet, oh no, this is bad. This is the Ruby us. Well, listen, I hate to say it, but he won. And the argument always against Donald Trump was he never won the popular vote. Well, he won the popular vote this time. And he also won the House and Senate. So the problem now is he can get some of his agenda through. I'm not saying it is a foregone conclusion, but he can get some of his things taken care of. And there are some points that the Republicans differ on. The other thing I wanted to point out about the election, which I thought was interesting, is, and this was pointed out by most news organizations, the number of Hispanic votes that Donald Trump got was up not tremendously, but was up surprisingly. And that's what cost Harris in the traditionally Democratic area. Hispanic votes, Donald Trump got them. The problem also with the Democrats is every time you turn around, the Democrats go and trot out a Bruce Springsteen or a John Bon Jovi or J-Lo or some other celebrity to, oh yeah, we're great, okay? When Donald Trump would appear, and this happened in 2016, it also happened now. When Donald Trump appears somewhere, he gets a lot of people to show up because it's Donald Trump. And I don't think that's something the Democrats have understood. Now, the one thing I will say is, and I think I was, under my breath, I was muttering this, win or lose, this is Donald Trump's last election. You know, and if he wins, definitely is his last election. So he cannot run for president by law because of the constitutional amendment. And I had someone say to me, Donald Trump will not leave office. He is going to be here and be dictator. This is the last free election we're going to have. And I said, really? Really? Not going to happen. Will not happen. In order to do that, he would have to take control. He's not taking control. I mean, Donald Trump can be a lot of things. Narcissist, egomaniac. But at the core, he understands America. He ran originally because he wanted to fix America. He's still on the job because he wants to fix America. I mean, what guy would continue to run for president after somebody took a shot and almost succeeded in assassinating him? And that brings me to one other thing that has bothered me this entire time. Donald Trump had someone take a shot at him. Now, obviously, we cannot ask the shooter because he was killed after he took that shot. How did he get so close? How did the Secret Service let this happen? Secret Service was in charge and controlled by the Democrats. Maybe another controversy that we'll never know the answer to. So we head into 2025 with Donald Trump in the president's chair, Joe Biden heading out the door, Vice President Harris heading out the door, and we will see where we go. But unfortunately, here comes another election cycle. I hate to say it, but it gets starting earlier and earlier, and already people are starting to set themselves up for the run in 2028. And that is Tripp's Take for November the 7th, 2024. I'd love to hear your comments and questions about my podcast. Just email trippstake@gmail.com. Don't forget, the Fantasy Sultans are here for your fantasy football questions. The Hall of Famer Mike Sheck and yours truly do the podcast. We drop it every Thursday at 9 o'clock as normal. You can find us on Spotify for podcasters and on YouTube. Just search for the Fantasy Sultans. Also, we're on the radio. Sunday with the Sultans airs at 12 noon on Fox Sports Jersey Shore, Fox Sports New Jersey, and foxsportsnewjersey.com. Again, that's Sundays at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. I have to get used to saying that. Like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, give a listen to WTRSradio.com, powered by Live365.com. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Tripp Rogers. Till we meet again, make it a great one.